Hello, welcome to Breakfast All Day. How are you? Good to see you. I'm Christy. That is Alonso. That is Matt. Just the three of us now to talk about Freaky, which is yet another version of Freaky Friday, because today is Friday.
Right. Well, and it's Friday the 13th. And I think the part of the joke of this movie is that the real title should be Freaky Friday the 13th because it is sort of a mashup of those two ideas. It is a slasher movie, but it's also a body swap movie. The slasher part is Vince Vaughn, who plays the Blissfield Butcher. Blissfield is a seemingly idyllic small town, but they do have this slight serial killer problem. And then you have Kathryn Newton from Big Little Lies as Millie, and she's kind of a high school outsider, and she's dealing with the recent death of her father and, you know, trying to take care of her mom, who is still not dealing with it all that well. Mom played by stage legend and Wonderfalls co-star Katie Finneran. Anyway, so the butcher, at the beginning of the movie, kills 4 teens in a spectacularly gruesome fashion, gets a mystical dagger, and then later when he stabs Millie with it at the stroke of midnight, wouldn't you know it, their souls swap places. And now they have 24 hours before it becomes permanent, which means that Millie, inside the body of the butcher, whom everyone is looking for, has to convince her friends that he's really Millie, and they have to track down Millie with the butcher inside of her and put their souls back where they belong. This is written and directed by, or co-written and directed by Christopher Landon, who directed the 2 Happy Death Day movies. I think the Happy Death Day movies are much more successful at mixing horror and comedy. You know, and it's funny because, like, at first I thought, well, maybe it's just that this is an R-rated movie, and so it gets a little more gruesome, and so it doesn't quite, you know, it robs it of the comedy a bit. I mean, like the opening 4 kills are sort of traditional slasher movie, elaborate household object, you know, murders. But I just rewatched Shaun of the Dead this week for Who Shot You, because we're doing the Cornetto trilogy, and that's a super gory movie, and it's still funny. So I'm not quite sure why this balance doesn't work, but it just isn't like. There are some horror stuff that lands and there's some comedy stuff that lands, but overall it doesn't feel quite as successfully put together as Happy Death Day, but I still enjoyed quite a bit of it.
There are a couple of things that are going wrong here, I would say. One is it's just lopsided. Like what Vince Vaughn gets to play with the teenage girl inside of him is a whole lot more entertaining than what Kathryn Newton gets to play with a serial killer inside of her. He gets to play with the goofiness of being, you know, 6'4" and huge and looking like Vince Vaughn, but having the instincts of, you know, a scared, excited, nervous, and sometimes flirtatious teenage girl.
Right.
That contrast is a whole lot funnier than Kathryn Newton getting like the slightest bittiest of a makeover, like because she kind of infamously wears like frumpy kind of like thrift store clothes.
Yeah,
she puts on like a biker jacket and jeans and a high ponytail, and that is supposed to be like the manifestation of her change. But the serial killer character isn't as interesting, and so she doesn't get as much to work with, and so that's one of the problems. First of all, the other one I would say is just that if we're comparing it to Happy Death Day specifically versus other Freaky Friday body swap movies, Happy Death Day moves so well. That pacing is just infectious, and they have so much fun playing with that structure and with the slight changes and the slight nuance improvements in every telling of it. There's nothing that moves the story along. There's a ticking clock element, but I never felt the urgency of that. And so there's a bit of a slog where it should be like really tense and exciting to get to that midnight deadline and see what happens.
The one thing I will say that they come up with as an interesting idea of the killer in her body is that now that the killer is a, you know, pretty blonde girl, she can call the police at the drop of a hat and they will come a running and not like suspect her of anything and immediately go after whatever scary thing that she's pointing at. And I thought, and maybe that wasn't even an intentional thing, but I kind of felt like, oh, this is where we're talking about Karen now.
Okay. Matt, what do you think?
I thought this movie was fun. I do agree with you. I mean, Vince Vaughn gets all the best laughs in this. Absolutely. Right. And he's really good. Like Vince Vaughn is really good as a gawky, excitable, nerdy teenager in a grown man's body. I thought that was really funny. And it's unfortunate they don't give Kathryn Newton enough to do. I spent the whole movie wondering where I had seen her before. She's in the Pokemon movie.
She's in
Detective
Blockers.
Pikachu. Right. But she's really good. She's good with what she's given to do. I think you're right. I do agree that it's lopsided, and I would have been. I think it's frustrating that they almost don't make her as the butcher menacing enough, right? Like, yes, they kind of do, but it's still trying to be funny, and you could have done, yeah, and that's disappointing. But I think for the most part, it's much better than I thought it was going to be, which maybe is damning with faint praise. But it moves just enough. I was a little surprised that it's an hour 40 or an hour 42. You could probably definitely trim some stuff up in this. The friends are funny. Her friends are funny, but it's not bad.
Also, there's an interesting idea that with the serial killer in her body, she gets to get revenge on all the assholes who bullied her, either the mean girls or the asshole football jocks.
And the shop teacher.
Yeah, like the serial killer doesn't even know that these are her enemies, but just the way that everyone regards her, the fact that she, the one football player, like putting his hand on her ass, when she becomes the hot girl in the sexy jeans. So that should be really satisfying. And except for one kill, there's one really gnarly graphic kill, revenge kill that she gets. The rest of them is like,
and one that doesn't even make sense. Like, what is that thing in the locker room that is cold? I didn't understand.
Well, it's like a cryotherapy thing.
I guess, but
why would a high school in a small town have that?
It was like I thought, it's going to be like a sauna and there's going to trap the person. Like, no, it's this weird, like, what's even happening now? And why would that setting be on the dial? That sort of thing kind of drove me nuts.
So you're okay with the body swapping?
Yes.
Like the body swapping you'll buy.
Beyond that,
no way that
logic.
High school would have a cryo chamber.
I want my logic. If you're going to have, you get the one crazy thing and then everything else has to make sense. I liked Vaughn a lot. I do want to call out though, he does cop out on, there's a moment where, as you say, like he's having to be flirty on her behalf, because she's inside of him. And this might be a spoiler, but it's whatever. There is a kissing scene and Vince Vaughn puts his hand up at a strategic moment to kind of keep it pretty safe. And I'm like, boo. Because I think a lot of comedic performers would have just gone for it all the way.
And have fun with it.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that on Twitter, Christopher Landon has said that this movie is in the same world as Happy Death Day.
Right.
So maybe we'll get a crossover.
I would enjoy seeing Tree again. I like Jessica Roth. She's fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I if there is a crossover, I hope it's more like Happy Death Day and less like Freaky. But this is okay. Yeah. It's okay.
What's your number, Alonso?
I said 6. It's one of those movies where I gave it a fresh, but the lowest fresh I could.
Matt,
what did I say? 7.
You said 7.
Yeah, 7.
Okay, I'm saying 6.5. I'm right between you. So 6.5. 6.5 is our number.
Okay. And that is theatrical only, but it's universal. So it'll be streaming very quickly.
Early December. Yeah. 27 days from now. So
something like that. Yeah. So, don't go to the theater, y'all. Everybody stay home. Be good. Behave. All right. Thanks for watching.
Behave.
Behave. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on the social media, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. The Mandalorian is taken off in season 2. We're wrapping up Seduced on Stars, and we're running out of time for you to vote on which Sean Connery non-007 classic we'll be reviewing in November. So get over there, patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.